All right, so you know why you're here, right? You listen to the deep dive because you want to really understand what's moving and shaking in digital marketing. And you want that information straight up, no chaser.
That's it. And today we're going to get into something that's honestly pretty new on the scene.
Yeah.
Web4 by Linkspreed.
Okay, so set the stage for us.
Well, it's interesting because so much of digital marketing now is about being on those big platforms, right?
Right.
Constantly kind of fighting for space.
Yeah, totally.
But what Linkspreed is proposing, and the information that you shared with me, is about creating your own space.
Your own little corner of the internet.
Exactly. A tailored digital environment that you control.
You're not just renting space anymore.
Exactly. You're building it.
You're the landlord.
You are. And think about that for a second. You know, we're so used to being at the mercy of algorithms.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and external interests that kind of dilute our message. And we're constantly,
trying to cut through the noise.
Trying to cut through the noise. Exactly.
Yeah. And hope that the algorithm gods are, smiling upon us today.
Right. And then there's the whole data privacy piece.
Oh, yeah.
That Web4 tackles head on.
That's a big one for sure. Because, how many times have we seen these stories about, data being used in ways that we didn't really consent to?
All the time.
It's a bit unsettling, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so let's dig into this Web4 thing, specifically Web4 by Linkspreed, because the way they describe it is about moving beyond just traditional social media marketing.
It is, and I think what's really key here is this idea of empowering businesses, organizations, even individuals to create their own social networks.
That's huge.
It is a big shift in thinking.
It is.
Because instead of trying to build a following on someone else's platform, you're creating your own branded space.
Right. You're inviting people in.
Exactly. And that gives you so much more control over the experience for your audience.
And you control the messaging, you control what people see.
You control the look and feel the functionality, you know all of it, and you're building a community in a space that's designed specifically for them.
So you're saying it's more like cultivating a garden.
Yes.
Than just kind of, throwing seeds out there and hoping they land on fertile ground.
That's a great analogy because you're carefully choosing the soil, the plants, everything to create this thriving ecosystem.
And I think that control over data privacy is a big selling point because, as we were saying earlier, there's so much concern about how our data is being used.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with Web4 by Linkspreed, the emphasis is really on user privacy and data ownership.
It's about giving the power back to the users.
Exactly. So people can feel confident that their information is being handled responsibly.
Okay. So now we kind of understand the why behind Web4, the problems it's trying to solve.
Right.
But let's get into the nuts and bolts.
Okay.
What are the actual tangible advantages of using this platform?
Well, first and foremost, as we've been talking about, it's full control over the environment.
Right. You're the architect.
Exactly.
You design the space. You decide what content is shared. You curate the experience.
And they take care of all the techie stuff, which honestly, for someone like me who's not a programmer, is huge.
That's a game changer for a lot of people because setting up and managing the technical side of an online community can be daunting.
That's a lot.
It is, but Linkspreed handles all of that. The server management, the configuration, even the moderation and security.
So you can focus on your community.
Exactly, on building relationships, creating engaging content, and fostering those connections.
Without having to worry about, server crashes or,
Or coding updates or security vulnerabilities.
Right, yeah.
They've got you covered.
And that opens it up to a lot more people.
Absolutely. It democratizes the process of building online communities because you don't need a huge budget or a team of developers to get started.
And I noticed that they have different pricing models too.
They do, which makes it accessible to startups.
Right.
Smaller businesses, but also scalable for larger companies.
So they can grow with you as your community grows. So exactly. They're trying to cater to a wide range of needs and budgets.
Okay, so this is all sounding pretty good so far.
It is exciting, isn't it?
It is, but let's talk about the marketing side of things.
Okay.
Because ultimately, we're interested in how this can help businesses and organizations connect with their audience more effectively.
Right.
So how does having your own Web4 network actually translate into new marketing possibilities?
Well, I think one of the biggest advantages is the ability to really tailor your content and engagement strategies.
Okay, so break that down for me.
Sure. So instead of just blasting out generic messages to everyone, you can create content that is specifically aligned with the interests of different segments within your community.
You mean like really niche down?
Exactly. So think about it. You could have specialized newsletters for people who are interested in a particular product or service, Or you could host interactive Q&A sessions that are focused on very specific topics.
So it's about creating that sense of, really being seen and heard.
Yes, exactly. It's about providing value that feels personalized and relevant, because it is.
And then there's the whole idea of exclusive events and live interactions.
Well, that's a big one.
Yeah, I love that because it creates this feeling of being part of something special.
It does. It's like you're giving your community access to something that they can't get anywhere else.
Like a VIP experience.
Exactly, and that builds loyalty and excitement.
And I think it also encourages people to be more active in the community.
Definitely, because they know that if they miss out on a live event or a special offer, they won't be able to get it later.
It creates that fear of missing out FOMO.
A little bit, yeah, but in a good way.
Yeah.
It motivates people to participate.
Okay, I like it. And then the text also mentions something called collaborative innovation.
Right.
Which sounds really cool.
It is. It's basically using your Web4 network to get feedback from your audience.
And even co-create products or services with them.
Exactly. So instead of just guessing what your customers want, you can actually ask them directly.
That's a much more direct line to what people are thinking.
It is, and it's a really valuable tool for product development, market research, and just overall understanding your audience better.
And I think it also makes people feel more invested in your brand.
It does, because they're actually involved in the process.
They're not just passive consumers anymore.
Right. They're active participants.
Which is huge.
It's a completely different way of thinking about the relationship between businesses and their audience.
And for businesses with a very specific local focus or a niche audience, building a localized network sounds like a really smart strategy.
Oh, absolutely, because it allows you to really hone in on that target market.
You're not trying to reach the whole world.
No, you're focusing on the people who are most likely to be interested in what you have to offer.
And I think that's really important in today's digital landscape where everyone is bombarded with so much information.
It is. It's about cutting through the clutter and making sure your message is heard by the right people.
So it seems like the core shift here is moving away from this pursuit of massive reach.
Yes.
On platforms where you can easily get lost in the noise.
Right.
And instead focusing on building a smaller, more tightly knit community where the engagement is much deeper.
That's a key distinction, and I think it's a really important one for marketers to understand.
It's about quality over quantity.
It is. It's about building genuine relationships with your audience.
And those relationships, they can lead to real results, right?
They can, absolutely, because when people feel like they're part of a valued community, they're more likely to become loyal customers.
And even advocates for your brand.
Exactly. They'll tell their friends, they'll leave positive reviews, they'll be your biggest supporters.
That word of mouth marketing is so powerful.
It's the best kind of marketing because it's authentic and it comes from a place of genuine enthusiasm.
The text calls Web4 a paradigm shift in digital marketing, and I can see why.
It's not just a new tool. It's a fundamentally different way of thinking about how businesses and audiences connect online.
And it's interesting because it doesn't have to completely replace traditional social media marketing.
Right.
You can still use those platforms for broader awareness.
Exactly.
But your Web4 network becomes your home base.
It's the hub where you can cultivate those deeper relationships and really nurture your community.
Okay, so to wrap up our deep dive into Web4 by Linkspreed,
Yes.
it sounds like it offers a lot of promise for businesses, organizations, and even individuals who are looking for a more controlled and private way to build online communities.
It does. And I think the key takeaway for our listeners is to really think about how this shift in thinking can lead to more effective marketing.
Because ultimately, that's what we're all after, right?
It is.
And it's not just about the technology, it's about the mindset.
It is. It's about prioritizing authenticity, transparency, and genuine engagement.
Those are the values that resonate with people today.
Absolutely.
So here's a final thought for our listeners to consider as we wrap up. What kind of exclusive digital space could you create? What unique value could you offer to your audience by stepping outside the boundaries of those existing platforms and building something that is truly your own?
It's an exciting question to consider.
It is food for thought.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
See you then.